If you were transported back into the Middle Ages, no warning, no preparation, the first thing you would feel is not confusion or fear. It would be pressure. A heavy, unspoken pressure that settled over every village and every city. Because medieval beauty wasn't gentle or romantic or innocent. It was demanding, unforgiving, and in many ways, cruel. Tonight, let's step quietly into that world, slowly, softly, and explore the brutal medieval beauty rules that would break you long before society ever noticed you were struggling. And if you enjoy these kinds of deep, atmospheric journeys into the past, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Let's begin. Beauty in medieval Europe began long before you walked into a room. In fact, it began the moment someone looked at your skin. Pale skin wasn't just preferred, it was mandatory. A sun-kissed complexion didn't mean healthy or glowing. It meant you were poor. It meant you labored outside. It meant you were the wrong class. So people did everything to avoid even a hint of warmth on their skin. Veils, wide-brimmed hats, gloves, long sleeves, and layers upon layers of cloth. Even in the heat, some women rubbed their faces with mixtures meant to lighten their skin. Powders, vinegar washes, harsh concoctions that irritated more than they improved. But the pressure wasn't just to be pale, it was to look untouched by the world, even when the world touched you every single day. Next came the shape of your face. A high, smooth, rounded forehead was one of the most celebrated features. Not nice to have, essential. So essential, in fact, that women plucked or shaved their own hairlines to make their foreheads appear larger. The tiny baby hairs at the top of the forehead, gone. The eyebrows, sometimes removed entirely. It wasn't a suggestion, it was an expectation. Imagine having to pull hairs from the most sensitive part of your face every week, not for preference, but for survival in the social world. Beauty was not a choice, it was a duty. Now we move softly, almost reluctantly, to the strangest rule of all. The ideal medieval woman was supposed to look delicate, fragile, almost childlike. Not because it was truly beautiful, but because innocence was considered the highest form of femininity. And to appear innocent, you needed to look small, narrow shoulders, a slight frame, a face with soft, unthreatening features. Many women tightened their clothing to achieve that look, lacing their garments firmly, flattening the chest, minimizing curves, not because they wanted to, but because society rewarded the illusion of weakness. The less space your body seemed to take up, the more beautiful you were believed to be. Hands. You might not think about them, but medieval people did. Your hands told the truth about your life. If your palms were rough, if your fingers were marked by work, if your nails weren't delicate and narrow, it revealed your class. So women wore gloves constantly, indoors, outdoors, visiting neighbors, attending church. Even when working, some found ways to protect their hands. To be beautiful, your hands needed to look as though they had never done a thing, even if you did everything. Now let's talk hair. Long hair was considered a treasure, almost spiritual in its importance. But it wasn't meant to be seen freely. It had to be hidden beneath veils, caps, or wimples. A woman showing loose hair in public, that was considered provocative, even improper. Imagine having to wrap and conceal the very thing society claimed was your crowning glory, a symbol of purity that you weren't allowed to display. It was beauty under lock and key. Then came complexion again, this time in the form of blush. A slight flush on the cheeks was considered beautiful, but not too much. Women used berries, tinted powders, or natural pigments to achieve a soft glow. But the rule was strict. The color had to look effortless. Too much meant vanity. Too little meant dullness. Beauty balanced on a razor's edge. Lips were to be small, pale, and understated. Not bold, not vibrant, not expressive. Medieval beauty prized subtlety over passion. Women sometimes rubbed herbs or mild pigments to add the faintest hint of color. Nothing noticeable, nothing daring. The ideal mouth was quiet, reserved, humble. Even your lips had to behave. Teeth were a different story entirely. Dental hygiene was limited, and white teeth were rare. But visible decay was still considered unattractive, so people used herbs, pastes, and even harsh powders to scrub away stains. Some methods damaged the enamel. Some made things worse, but the rule remained. A pleasant appearance required effort, even when the available tools were crude. Now, posture. To be elegant, a woman was expected to carry herself with unwavering composure. Back straight, movements gentle, head slightly lowered. You weren't supposed to walk with confidence, but with controlled grace. Nothing too fast, nothing too expressive, nothing that made you seem bold. Beauty was not just appearance, it was behavior, finally. The rule that existed underneath all the others: silence. A beautiful woman in the medieval world was quiet, soft-spoken, careful. Her value was tied to her restraint. Expression, ambition, or assertiveness weren't considered attractive traits. A woman's beauty was measured by how well she fit into the mold society built for her, one that limited her voice, her choices, and even her comfort. The most brutal beauty rule wasn't physical. It was the rule that insisted, you must be small, you must be obedient, you must be nothing more than what we expect you to be. Looking back, medieval beauty wasn't truly about beauty at all. It was about control, about forcing people, especially women, to shape themselves into someone else's idea of perfection. And if you were living then, it wouldn't be the cosmetics or the clothing or the strange rituals that broke you. It would be the weight of expectations you could never escape. Thank you for drifting through this piece of history with me. If you enjoy these quiet, atmospheric explorations into the past, remember to like and subscribe for more. Rest well. And until next time, let the past keep whispering.